That's what they're going to say. Deedat said that they are sons of bitches. Am I saying that? This is what the Jew is saying, that this is how we behave, like sons of bitches. You know what that means. 21 years. 21 years have gone by since the territories fell under Israeli control. A whole generation has grown up there. Yet they are no closer to accepting us as anything but a foreign occupying power. And the Jewish settlers continue to live the lie, locked in their government-subsidized houses out of earshot of the rioting neighbors. They appreciate that the safety depends on the army. Every evening, they travel the strip in minibuses, distributing hot soup and food to the weary patrolling troops, trying to bribe them. They say, look after us, look after us. Because they know. Israel knows. You'll see the pictures in that little booklet. Look at the children there, look at the women there in those pictures, and you'll realize that if the Jews only put down their arms for a week, these little children and the women will chew the Jews alive. They'll tear them to pieces with their bare hands. Why wait for that? Why create that? He says here, every evening, and food to the weary patrolling troops. Most soldiers accept gratefully. Soldiers are soldiers. Somebody brings you hot soup, hot cakes, samosas, kusistas. Who wouldn't like to have that? Accept gratefully. Others kid themselves that by logical argument they may persuade the settlers that the day of judgment will come and they will return to live in Israel. Their bank accounts swelled beyond recognition by government compensation. The few peace-seeking idealists among us, among the soldiers of Israel, refuse that charity. They won't even tolerate, they won't even have that hot soup. They won't have that hot samosas, nothing. They know what it means. That's bribery. You're bribing us to carry on with this work. This is the few peace-seeking idealists among us, among the soldiers of Israel, refused her charity, not willing to condone the occupation by even the tiniest of symbolic acts. The Quran describes them beautifully. Allah says, "Minhumul mu'minuna wa aktharuhumul fasiqun." Among them, there are sincere, good-hearted, good people. Among the Jews, God says in the Quran, "Minhumul mu'minuna wa aktharuhumul fasiqun." But the majority of them are perverted transgressors. And He says about those, yet there are Israeli politicians, those perverted transgressors, who for their own cynical ends perpetuate the myth that the intifada, the uprising, the revolution in the making is trifling. It's nothing. You got the gun, you got the power. So those who claim that the grassroots popular revolution can be quelled deliberately mislead the nation. The fact is that there is no military solution to this political problem. There is no military solution to this political problem. Almost every reservist who has spent time in the territories this year has seen to that, has seen that. There is no political solution. There is no solution with the gun. And you carry on. He says, and if we stay, we are going to be dragged deeper into the quagmire. As world opinion shifts even further against us, eventually a solution of sorts will be forced upon us, upon the Jews. We will retreat with our tail between our legs, like a beaten dog with the tail between your legs. This is what he says. This is how you're going to end off. When the whole world opinion, and there is a saying among us Muslims, that there is a hadith which says a time will come that even the stones will cry that there is a Jews hiding behind me. You know what that implies? Stones don't talk. This is the language of the Bible also. Jesus Christ telling the Jews, He says, think not that you have Abraham as a father, for God can raise up children unto these stones to Abraham. Stones means this rubbish, heartless people, backward, barbaric people. Out of them He can create people who can represent the message of God. Stones, meaning the most hard-hearted people, most cruel people. Even they will recognize that this Jew is hiding behind a Christian name, a facade, a facade. Get him, get him, get him. I said, why wait for that? Why not come right with God? Come right with the people, do justice to them. They're only asking for justice. Anti-Semites, again and again, anti-Semites. Max I. Demont, Jews know. An erudite Jewish historian, Max I. Demont, in his book, Jews, God and History, on page 205, he says, "Today, the Arab world is arising from its slumber." I say thanks to you Jews. If the Arabs can use the Jews to hoist themselves out of the abyss into which history has hurled them, they can be blamed no more than other nations which are playing similar power politics. It is up to Jewish leaders in their own national self-interest to convince the Arab leaders that the Arab world can achieve its legitimate aims with the friendship of the Jews as in days past. Astute statesmanship can relax the present Israeli-Arab tensions because they are not caused by deep-rooted racial and religious antagonisms, but by temporary political expediencies. History has shown, concludes Max Idemont, history has shown that Jew and Arab can live together without strife and with mutual profit. And Rodinson, another leading Jewish writer, I say cry with Rodinson. Rodinson is crying. In his book, Israel and the Arabs, this Jew is crying, Rodinson. But for one thing, they, the Israelis, cannot be said to have a historic right to a piece of territory because some of their ancestors supposedly inhabited it 2,000 years ago. For another, they ought to recognize that they have done a considerable wrong to another people in depriving them of rights at least as great as their own. The bitterness felt by the people to whom this wrong was done still persists. And as long as it does, the rights of the Israelis will remain purely hypothetical. They can only hope that the Arabs will one day recognize and accept them. Only then will the rights become real. The Arabs too have rights. In many respects, they may justifiably be held to be greater than Israelis. The Arabs of Palestine have the same rights over Palestine territory as the French exercise in France and the English in England. These rights have been violated without any provocation on their part. The wrong done to the Arabs by the Israelis is very real. The Jews say anti-Semites. Moses is an anti-Semite. Believe me. Moses says, you behold a stiff-necked people. So you Jews, you have been rebellious against the Lord since the day I knew you. Read Isaiah, read Amos. Yeah, Jewish prophets, what they have to say about you? Are they all anti-Semites? They hate you, or they hate themselves? What have you done? My dear brothers and sisters, there is a chance. There is a growing number of people among the Jews who realize this. As Brother Paul Finley has pointed out, Israel Saad, people like him. There are others, like Danny Bintal, like Henry Kazio. There are people among the Jews who are crying about the injustice, that you are worse than the Nazis. You're doing things that what the Nazis didn't do to you, you are doing to these poor Palestinians. And this is, as soon as the world opinion, the world is realizing, yeah, everybody is not asleep. They're knowing what's going on now. Day by day, more and more things are coming in the news. Daily, they're killing little children. Little children are being killed daily. This is the fate in the Times Magazine, the weekly news magazine, international. We read there, the Palestinian question. I end with this. So what manner of man would retaliate against a stone-throwing child by shooting him in the back as he ran away? What kind of people are these who would shoot a stone-throwing child by shooting him in the back as he ran away? What manner of government would retaliate by fining already poverty-stricken parents $1,000, demolishing their home and confiscating their meager possessions? What manner of people are these arrogant settlers who think they have a God-given right to commit such atrocities and still cry for more? What manner of people are we that we permit our government to give away billions of the American taxpayers' dollars to Israel every year, enabling it to continue to subjugate the Palestinian people? What manner of people are we, the Americans? This man is an American, Alice F. Smith from Santa Barbara, California, in the Times Magazine, February 20th, 1989. There are people who are waking up to the situation, and this will create either you change or destined for destruction. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen.